Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Let's Talk Business. I'm Maria Medina, your networking and business coach with the Coaching Network. And today I am joined by Ashten Barber with Eclipse Financial Advisors. Ashten, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Ashten Barber. I'm a financial advisor. I like to say not your typical financial advisor. Really, money is not the point. It's the tool that makes things happen. For me, I am a holistic financial planner, which is really fun to say, and most people don't really mean it. But what that means is if it has to do with your money, let's talk about it. If you don't want to talk about it, that's okay. I still need to know about it. So I look at a lot of behavioral coaching when it comes to the financial aspect, is that we do things financially because of emotions that we have. I'm not a therapist. That's not my job there, but we definitely are going to talk about the who, what, where, when, why within the money. And the first question I always ask my clients is, what is important about money to you? And I continue kind of through that conversation. And it's not that I'm looking for any specific answer. It's I want to know what they think, and then I will use that to build out their plan. So I feel that that's the differentiator, is it's not about the money, it's about what the money does.
Awesome. How long have you been in the industry?
Thinking about this today, I believe it's now 12 years. So it's been I think I got my license on the 14th of April in 2014. But before that, I studied finance. That was my bachelor's degree. And I really got my 4-year degree in 4 years, if you discount the fact that I was married, had a full-time job, and 2 kids. So I look at it really that I've been in the industry for 20 years. And beyond that, I've always had my finance books. That's been something. I have it on my website. My kind of story is why finance is my mom, ever since I was tiny, little, she kept a cash flow or a report. She balanced her checkbook every single month. She does it to this day by hand, and so do I. I've done that since the day I got married, and even a little bit before that. And so it's just part of the DNA that I knew you follow what's happening. Not about a budget. It's about what happened. Is that what I wanted to? And do I want to change? And I do that with my clients as well. It's not the restriction, it's the acknowledgement.
Right. It's the way to make data-informed decisions.
Yes. There's an author I love. It's data kills denial, which prevents disaster.
I love that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I think he read 52 books, or maybe it was more than that, something like that. And he's like, I could have said I want to read more. And we all talk about SMART goals, but I could have read more. No, I wanted to read 1 book a week. That's simple. That's easy. Like, let's not make it more complicated. I don't need to have all the SMRT. Yes. No. SMART. Oh, Homer Simpson caused that and my chemistry teacher in junior high. But having just those measurables and not bad, just facts.
Yeah. One of my first coaches ever said, what gets measured gets done.
Yes.
And I've quickly learned to live by that. So you've been in the industry for 12 years, you're married, you've got a son. And I often ask this question, and I'm like, you can't say your son, but what has been your greatest success so far in business?
Well, I have 2 sons. I have an 18-year-old and a 13-year-old. And my 18-year-old got an award a couple days ago for dedication, and we were invited and all of these things. I know this is not answering your question, but I'm hijacking. But he wasn't there, and we're texting him, where are you? He got it from his drama teacher. And so they were doing play rehearsal. I go over there. I'm like, dude, you're in full costume. Why are you not there? He goes, I don't need to be there. Like, oh, I guess you got the award for dedication. Cool kid. I love you. My biggest success, I actually stole some notes and I forgot already what it is. My background is I worked for the DMV for 9 years, and I was in management for 8. So at 22 years old, I had 22 employees and a 2-year-old, because that's a smart thing to do while going to college. But building that management, and I think that what has happened, and this maybe go into a different kind of subject, but is I kind of lost my way a little bit when I went into this industry, because there was a lot of KPIs, expectations, and just kind of did the check boxes. And I think that, kind of now coming into this industry, into the independent side of this industry, but to answer the success is I thought I knew what I was doing. I had this, I'm a financial advisor. And over the last 3 years or so, is my biggest success is learning how to articulate, and I still might not be great at it, what it is I actually do, what I do for my clients, and maybe I can't say it, but I live it. And so my biggest success is really taking what was in my brain in all different ways and executing on that for the success of my clients. And I was speaking to a woman earlier today, and I was even telling her that for me, and I have plenty of people, specifically my advisor, that says, but I don't really want to sell my book of business. I want to give it to the next generation. And no, that does not mean my child, but it's if I can find someone that'll serve the clients the way that I've served them, it's not monetary, which goes back to my entire ethics and my entire being of why am I an independent financial advisor? Because companies don't make money that way, but people do.
I love that. And it's understanding the difference in the value that you're bringing and separating them from those key performance indicators that are, shoved down the throats of all the financial advisors in every company. I was having a conversation with an advisor a couple of days ago when we were talking about that. And it demotivates you when all you're seeing is numbers that you have to hit.
Yes, and I think that back to the last conversation we had is data kills the denial. And seeing that, but looking at the numbers of I may have only met with 3 people this week rather than the expectation of 20 or whatever that is at the corporate. But I met with a person and I met with their son, and their son is better off now. And there's going to be a legacy that I know I will not see 20, 40, 60, 500 years from now. That kids got to go to college because of something I said. And I've stayed to it as well as money as a consequence for hard work. I purposefully say that negatively, much more for the purpose of we have consequences to our actions. They don't have to be negative, but if we know that they're there, we will fight for them and continue to push for them. And I tell my son all the time, consequences aren't bad. They're learning tools.
Yeah, 100%. So on sort of that vein, what has been the greatest challenge that you've come across in your industry, and how did you overcome it?
So I think it kind of marries in a little bit to my success is that I'm the sole breadwinner for a family of 4 in Irvine, California. Gratefully, my husband has taken on the insurmountable responsibility of being the full-time caregiver for us. But going from a corporate world where I knew that all of my bills were covered by a paycheck, and I am not one of your typical entrepreneurs. I never wanted to be. I don't want to be. I still don't want to own my own business. There's plenty of things. I just want to do my job. But as I stated, the ethics that I have and the way that I want to be able to run my business is not profitable for a company, but it's profitable enough for me. It's enough for me to provide enough for that. So I think that the challenge of leaving a corporate security going, I'm going to make it. And then realizing that's not as easy as you think. And Maria, you've even kind of given me some guidance. And I've said probably for the last 6 to 12 months, and something I've worked on is I don't know how to run a business. And I don't really want to be a super, super successful business owner. I want to be a super successful financial advisor that's business gets to have the ethics to support all of those types of things. And it's the means to it. So I think that biggest challenge was accepting the fact, do I go get a real job and I get, that oversight, which would be great. The paychecks would be great. Or do I really dig in? And I'll say my family has also made that sacrifice to go, all right, Mom, it's almost the weekend. What does that mean? Mom's going to read finance books versus working on her computer. That's about it, because I do my work and I do my play work. So I think that the challenge is doing this on my own, realizing I don't have to be alone because I'm not, bringing in supports, and I'm still at the grind. I tell my boys, and I share this when I speak to young children or young adults, is it's not what do you want to be when you grow up. It's what do you want to do? Because if you want to do what I do right now, I do a lot of networking. I do a lot of business cards. I do a lot of marketing that I hate. I do a lot of cold or warm calls. I call people that I know and go, hey, let's meet. And they're like, I thought you wanted to grab coffee. No, I want to sell you something, but I really just want to help. And so I'll add one thing. My son, my oldest, he, like I said, he's in drama. We talked about theater, and he wants to be an actor. That's kind of subsided, but so I was asking him, and I go, so what do you believe the job of an actor is? And we talked, and it's auditioning, rehearsing, singing lessons, dance lessons, all of these things. And then you get this amazing opportunity that's called vacation. It's your PTO, and you get to perform. So as long as you're okay with knowing the job is not performing, then you have what it takes. And I think that that's something that's not pushed nearly enough in our education system with people, is that grind that's there. And that's where I'm at right now. And it's not easy. There's a lot of rough days when people say no. That's why I have waterproof mascara. And I go to my husband and say, this person that I love and care about, that I know I can help, doesn't want my help.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's what you do every day to be able to do what you want to do, right? So that's why I'm a firm believer. Like, if you want to go into any industry, go and find a mentor in that industry and ask them, what does your week look like? Like, what do you actually do? But then also understand that as you're growing, there are ways to grow. I just had a conversation maybe 2 weeks ago with a client whereby I had to, and I said, I'm going to say something, you're going to repeat it back to me. I said, nobody cares how you run your business. All they care about is your product or service, right? The person that you're selling to does not care if you were late on your taxes, so long as it's not detrimental to your product or service. It doesn't affect them. They don't care. They care about the end goal, which is what you gave them. They don't care if you had an assistant draft that email. They don't care if you hire a marketing company to do your marketing outreach. So long as your system is functional and it's not affecting your product or service, they don't care what happens before that, right? Don't lie to your client. Be genuine about what you're producing and how you're producing it. Be fully transparent. And all they care about is what they get in the end.
I love that. There's a book, actually, I do have it here on my desk too. It's called The Psychology of Money. And it talks about someone going to the hardware store to buy a 2-inch drill bit. They don't want the drill bit. They don't really even want the hole. They want the hole to put in the spacer, to put in the nail, to hang the bookshelf on the wall to hold the book. It's not about the drill bit. They don't care. I love what you said about that mentorship. And I think that's something that's lost. My sister's an architect, and we talk about this. And we talk to people in the profession normally when they're too far in. It's that meet them 1 year in, 3 years in, 7 years in, 12 years in. A lot of time we hear this with like attorneys or doctors. It's like, oh, I'm at the golf course all the time. Yeah, but what about year 2 when you were working and your kids kind of started to question if dad existed or if mom existed anymore? And I feel like that part sometimes is focused a little off. And I lovingly say is that professors are fantastic, and listen to your professors. And if they're adjuncts, maybe a little bit more, but if not, they're really good at one thing. They can tell you and teach you how to be a professor, not the professional in that field. And so bringing those in is so, so valuable.
Yeah. And it brings me to, so you were speaking about it a little bit, right? I wish I had known all the other things that go into running my business, because then, and you still don't. You're like, I still don't want to do it. And I know the things that I have to do. So what is one thing, if you could narrow it down, that you wish you knew before you had started your own business?
I actually did know this, and I will say that, but I didn't realize and didn't believe it, is
Okay.
I had a colleague of mine that I said, so when do you sleep at night? And he said, about year 7. And it's like, okay. And he goes, and about year 12, you can go on vacation. And about year 16, you can actually turn your phone off on vacation. And all that as well, which, you do a lot of networking as well as I do. And I was told, if you can get one client in 2 years, you're golden. And that's not all industries, but mine's a trust industry. And so I think that those realizations that I was told, but they didn't come from my ears to my heart. They went up here and they went in my brain, and I think about them and I go, no, they were exaggerating. It's like, no, actually they weren't. I think that, and I think that I had expectations and goals for myself that I did not hit, that I've had in my corporate life. Like, I can hit this number, I can hit this number. And consistently and regularly not hitting it, and the emotion that comes and the feelings of not failure, but the feelings of what if, or if I only, or all of that. So I'd say that that's the pain. I wouldn't have done it, but I think that that's something that people, entrepreneurs, especially people that don't want to be entrepreneurs, that just love their craft and their passion, and go, this is going to be harder than you could ever imagine.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be a million times harder.
Yeah. Yeah. And I get a lot of people that they say, oh, if they could do it, so can I. And it's, let's see. Let's see resilience.
Yeah, I'm reading like 6 books at the same time because that's the kind of person that I am. But there was another one that was talking about, and it's taken me a long time to hear this, and there's been a bunch of books that have stated it, but it's no one can do it the way you do it. I'm like, I'm not doing podcasts, I'm not doing YouTubes, I'm not doing all of these types of things. There's plenty out there. And the longer and longer I've done this, people are like, but I need to hear your voice. I go, but why? I want my cocoon with me and my clients. And then the more and more is like, some people have to hear it just like I do 3,000 times as much as people tell me. There's a kind of a funny with that I'd say a slight challenge as well that was funny to me is I'd ask some of the other individuals that my RIA and go, so how did you survive the first 5 years? And 2 of them were like, well, the first 2 years was couch surfing. And I'm like, I don't think my family of 4 with 2 dogs are going to couch surf very well. And that was actually a really, really powerful thing that I'd heard after hearing many, many people tell me. But I think that was one other one that shows that challenge that you didn't know what you didn't know and you couldn't have known. But I think it's like, I hate to compare it, but I often say that this is my 3rd baby. I have 2 children and this is my 3rd, and this one hurts a lot more because it is not that it's just me. I've got the support, but it's my heart. I'm the one that makes it happen, and it doesn't have a voice of its own. My little boys, my grown-up boys, they can talk back. They can have opinions. They can challenge me. I challenge myself, and I can bring in coaches and I can bring in support, but it's different.
Yeah. Yeah, it hits different. You've been talking about quite a few books. So if there was one book or podcast that you would recommend to somebody starting their own business, what would that be?
So there's only like 6 of them. No, and actually, this wasn't the one that I kind of had thought of originally. I'm going to list 3. Am I allowed? If not, I'm doing it anyway.
Go for it. No, do it.
One of them is really a fun book that they're all pretty much new books that I've found. But it's the Wealthy Barber. So my last name is Barber. You can see it on there. Okay. And I like to say that I am not the wealthy barber, but I am a wealthy barber. That's where I'm getting. But it's written by a gentleman in Canada. And it talks about, the story is, it's fiction, but it talks about, the lessons that they learn about finance by going to the barber every X number of weeks. And it's super approachable and really, really wonderful. And the author was on Dragon's Den, which is the Canadian version of Shark Tank. And so it's really a cool one. I like that one a lot. There's one that I'm rereading now for the 6th time. Yes, I'm that weird, because I read it the first time in probably high school or so, and it's hitting me a lot different. It's called The Millionaire Next Door.
Okay.
And it just really talks, and that's something that I've learned. If you have someone that walks into the office in an Armani suit with a Rolex, I don't want it. They're rich. They're good. They're good at being rich. They're not necessarily the wealthy. And I'm going to use that word. And the reason I say that one is I stole it from this book, which is The Psychology of Money, which I had listed before too. And it talks, well, I'll just read. It says timeless lessons on wealth, greed, and happiness, and talks so much about not necessarily like the woo-woo psychology or that type of a thing, but truly the emotional reaction that we have with our money. And we all look at this, and I feel like, of course, I compare finance to health, and we see that as little kids, but we don't see it in the same way that we see money. Just like I watched my mom do her reporting of all of that, I realized that power that thing had, which is a tool, and that's really all it has to be. But so this one's been good. And I don't read books, I study them, and you can see my little tabs here as I go through my books. I listen to this one and I'm reading it and I'm rereading it, so that's why there's less tabs in it. But it's those are 3 really good ones that are specific more a little bit to my industry, but they're all extremely approachable. My sister just listened to The Psychology of Money. I got it on our Audible, and she was bringing things in from it and comparing that to her profession and that. So I think that taking that, eagle eye approach and just realizing we all have the history, the baggage, the acceptance, the fear, the greed. A lot of my seminars, I'll ask and say, think up for a minute, take out your phone and put up the emoji you think of when I say the word money. And lately, there's been a lot less sad faces or negative ones. But then we talk a little bit more, and now it's, well, now is it? Or my friend today even said, he goes, there's a way that I can make every single person in this room groan with one word. And it's kind of timely, and it's taxes.
Right.
So that's the word you hear, and you go, okay, well, money and taxes, those have so much visceral feeling, but we give it to it. So why?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we recently did an activity at a coach's seminar where it wasn't an emoji. They gave us Play-Doh, and they said, what comes to mind when I say the word conflict? And they gave us the Play-Doh to yeah. So we did, everybody did everything, and I just squashed mine. I was like, nah, conflict, what are you talking about? Avoid it at all costs. So
mine's eliminate it, make it.
Somebody actually made a knot because it causes a knot in their stomach, so they made a knot. There were some really cool ones. I always like to end these with a fun fact. So that was my Play-Doh fun fact. But if it was a fun fact that you could share with our audience, what would that be?
Oh no, let's see. Okay, well, my chat one is I'm obsessed with the ocean, which is true, which is very true. That's I love that. I'm not a California native, so I'm going to use this one. But since we're out here in California, is I love the make-believe of Disneyland. And I push that into the fact that my husband and I went to Disneyland on our honeymoon. And we're not from here, but we didn't just go to Disneyland. We had a 5-day park hopper pass, and we opened and closed the park every day. We walked every place. And I was talking with a friend. There's plenty of feelings. There's so much. You look into the stock, you look into the movies, but it's like going underneath that little bridge and just being, you know what? I get to be a kid. And I will carry that too as well with my children. I haven't been to Disneyland in a long time, a couple of years, which is sad since we're close. But I think that that's kind of a fun fact, is that that's the land of make believe, and it is the happiest place on earth. And when you're there, kids and adults get to all be humans, and we get to be treated equally, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, my wife always loves just like sitting, people watching, and just watching everybody just be themselves. Like there's no
Yeah.
judgment, there's nothing. Everybody's free. You get these like really burly, muscly men wearing Mickey ears, and it's like it's
Yes.
so freeing to just see everybody be what they want to be and just do what they want to do. Well, thank you so much for being on this series today. If anybody's interested in reaching out, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Email is always going to be the easiest and the best, and it's my first name, Ashten, at eclipsefa.com. So that's Eclipse Financial Advisors, just the 2 letters. And I'd love to. I sit down with anyone that wants to have a consultation. I stole this, and I can't think of the source, but I'm not here to steal people from their financial advisors. Even if that's yourself, I'm here to rescue you from the bad ones. And if you have a good one, I want to verify that for you, so you know, because you deserve that. And actually, I will say one other part that I love a lot too is if you have an income, you deserve an advisor.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you.
You don't have to have
Thank
this.
you.
You don't have to have that. If you have an income, you deserve an advisor.
That's all you do. And I will make sure to share Ashten's email in the description below. So if you want to reach out, feel free to do that. If you'd like to be featured on Let's Talk Business, go ahead and click that apply button below and leave any comments or questions that you may have. I'll make sure that I forward them on. Thank you again for watching Let's Talk Business, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks, Ashten.
Thank you.